There comes a moment in the journey of every man, every thinker, every builder, every dreamer, when the silence is no longer an absence but a crucible. A man stands alone, the applause has stopped, the eyes of approval have turned elsewhere. The familiar voices vanish like smoke in wind, and in that precise moment, the ordinary man crumbles, but the man of destiny is born. Not in the crowd, not in celebration, but in solitude. When a man has no one, that's when power is born. For the first time, he must face his own thoughts unshielded. There is no distraction to protect him from the tremble of self-doubt or the quiet rage of regret, no audience to pander to, no echo chamber to reinforce illusion. It is in this vacuum of approval that the man either meets himself or loses himself. And if he dares to stay, if he dares to remain present without flinching, he discovers something the masses never will, that the most powerful force on earth is a mind that has mastered itself. Let us speak plainly, for we live in an age where clarity is rare and truth is treated as a fence. The average man is a slave not to a tyrant in chains, but to his own emotional chaos. He does not act, he reacts. He does not lead, he follows his feelings. He does not build, he craves. He does not decide, he hesitates, waiting for permission, for consensus, for someone else to take the blame if it all goes wrong. He believes he is free because he can choose between distractions. But he is not free. He is possessed by fear, by doubt, by anger, by the need to be liked. His soul is mortgaged to the whims of strangers, and his mind is a battlefield he has never learned to command. But you, yes, you have begun to suspect the lie. You have tasted enough frustration to sense there must be another way. And there is. It is the path of the disciplined, the detached, the mentally sovereign, a path where emotion becomes servant, not master, where decisions are rooted in purpose, not pressure, where silence is not feared but revered. This path is not popular, for it offers no instant gratification. It does not seduce with false comfort. It demands everything from you, your illusions, your laziness, your sentimentality, but in return, it gives you power, true power, the kind of power that builds empires, bends fate, and leaves legacy. Understand this. Mastery begins the moment you stop needing. Needing attention, needing validation, needing emotional rescue. The first law of power is this: he who needs least commands most. And the man who detaches from the noise of emotional impulse becomes invincible not because he feels nothing, but because he chooses what to feel, when to feel, and how to use that energy as fuel for purpose. Let us define the root of our enemy. It is not failure. Failure is a teacher. It is not rejection. Rejection is a compass. No, the true enemy is emotional reactivity. The man who cannot control his emotions cannot control his life. For emotion untamed is the destroyer of judgment. It is the arsonist that sets fire to discipline, to planning, to principle. And most men are emotional addicts, reacting to everything around them: news, gossip, slights, praise, envy, fear. Like leaves in a storm, they drift. But you were not born to drift. You were born to direct, to shape reality, not be shaped by it, to be the master of your inner kingdom. And that mastery begins with detachment, not from life, but from illusion. Detachment is not indifference, it is clarity. It is the ability to observe your own thoughts without being owned by them. It is to feel deeply but not obey impulsively. It is the art of holding fire without being burned. You must begin by observing yourself. The next time anger rises, do not speak, do not act, simply notice. Where does it come from? What wound does it mask? What fear is it guarding? When envy slithers in, do not pretend it isn't there. Study it. What part of your own greatness have you abandoned that you now resent it in another? This is what I call the principle of inner audit. You do not conquer what you do not first name. All greatness begins within. Do not waste your energy blaming the world. Do not point fingers at circumstance or heritage or timing. That is the creed of the defeated. You are not here to react. You are here to build. And the materials of your empire are not bricks and mortar, but thought, discipline, and will. A weak mind complains, a strong mind creates. You must choose. Let me give you a truth few dare say aloud. The average man is unfit for freedom. He believes freedom means doing whatever he feels. He is wrong. True freedom is the power to do what is right, even when it's difficult. It is the ability to delay gratification, to say no to what feels good now in order to secure what is great later. Freedom is not the absence of restraint. It is the presence of direction, and direction requires discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. The man without discipline is a prisoner of impulse. He spends his life starting and quitting, chasing and regretting, indulging and collapsing. He blames fate. He blames the system. He blames his childhood. But what he truly lacks is control over his own mind. And until he builds that control, no external success will satisfy him, for it will always be at the mercy of his emotions. You must become still. Stillness is not weakness, it is the forge of clarity. In stillness, you hear your own mind. In stillness, you confront your desires. In stillness, you decide. The undisciplined man rushes into action to escape thought, but the master waits, watches, sharpens his aim before he moves. Be that master. You ask, how do I begin? Begin with purpose, not vague ambition, not general desire, but clear, definite, burning purpose. This is the principle of definiteness. Until you know where you are going, no path will lead you. The man who lacks purpose becomes a servant to emotion, for he has no mission to anchor his choices. But the man of purpose filters everything through the lens of his goal. He does not chase every feeling. He disciplines himself to pursue only what brings him closer to his aim. Purpose is power. It makes sacrifice sacred. It turns boredom into training, pain into fuel, rejection into redirection. But without it, discipline is torture and detachment is apathy. Know your purpose, and everything else falls into line. The hours you rise, the people you associate with, the books you read, the emotions you allow, all must bow before the throne of your definiteness. Let me tell you this. The man who masters emotional detachment is feared by the world, not because he is cruel, but because he cannot be manipulated. He does not flinch under pressure. He does not chase applause. He does not react to provocation. He sees what others miss because he is not clouded by ego. He wins because he is not playing the same game. While others shout, he listens. While others rage, he thinks. While others crave, he creates. He is calm but not passive, detached but not indifferent, focused but not rigid. He is the eye of the storm, still, silent, centered. And in that stillness, he is building something unstoppable. Now let us turn to the battlefield. Most men refuse to acknowledge the battlefield within the mind. You see, the wars that destroy men are not fought in boardrooms or courtrooms or even on the fields of commerce. They are fought in silence in the invisible struggle between thought and reaction, between will and weakness, between desire and discipline. And on this battlefield, most are unarmed. They enter with good intentions, but no armor. They carry ambition, but no training. They seek victory without first conquering the saboteur that lives within the voice of fear, the echo of doubt, the shadow of laziness. But hear me clearly. He who commands his mind commands the outcome. Every great achievement was first a thought, conceived and repeated and held with such unwavering intensity that it hardened into reality. Your thoughts are not harmless visitors. They are builders or destroyers. If you tolerate weak thoughts, you will live a weak life. But if you plant thoughts of power, clarity, and conviction, they will take root, and soon your very world will bend in submission to the architecture of your dominant mental state. This is the law of autosuggestion. And it is not mysticism, it is mechanics. What you impress upon your subconscious through repetition and emotion becomes belief. And what you believe, you act upon without question. Every day you entertain doubt, you strengthen it. Every time you rehearse failure in your imagination, you are building the very prison you fear. But the opposite is also true. If you speak power into your soul, if you affirm again and again with burning certainty that you are focused, you are disciplined, you are destined, you will eventually act as one who is. And once that identity is rooted, nothing can stop you. But beware, you cannot lie to your mind. You may speak strong words, but if your actions contradict them, your subconscious will reject the suggestion. Therefore, your daily behavior must align with your declarations. Do not affirm power and then live in avoidance. Do not speak discipline and then bathe in distraction. Your mind is always listening not to what you say, but to what you do. Show it strength, and it will believe. Feed it evidence, and it will obey. Let us then speak of evidence of habits. For the mind does not grow strong through desire alone. It is conditioned, like muscle, through repetition and resistance. The undisciplined man waits for motivation. The master acts without it. The undisciplined man listens to his mood. The master listens to his mission. The undisciplined man negotiates with laziness. The master executes. And over time, this difference creates a canyon between the two. One fades into obscurity. The other becomes legend. You must build discipline like a fortress, brick by brick. Begin with small wins. Wake when you say you will. Complete what you commit to. Speak only what you mean. Resist what weakens you. Delay what tempts you. These acts may seem trivial, but they are sacred. For every time you conquer yourself, you reinforce the idea that you are a man who finishes, a man who decides, a man who leads. This becomes your identity, and identity is destiny. Discipline is not an emotion. It is a decision made once and honored 1,000 times. The disciplined man does not avoid pain, he selects it. He endures temporary discomfort to escape permanent mediocrity. He suffers now to dominate later. And his suffering is not punishment, it is purification. With each repetition of right action, he is burning away weakness, and when the smoke clears, only strength remains. Now consider this. All suffering multiplies in proportion to your resistance to reality. When you fight what is, you amplify pain. When you accept it and act upon it, you transform it. This is why the emotionally reactive man suffers endlessly, because he fights shadows. He argues with insults. He pleads with disappointment. He reacts to every mood as if it were a command. He is like a man chained to a wild horse, dragged and battered and confused. But the man of discipline cuts the chain. He observes the horse, learns its patterns, and then trains it. This is what you must do with your emotions. Understand this principle well. Emotions are not evil, they are messengers, but they must never be masters. Use them, study them, channel them, but do not obey them blindly. When you feel fear, do not run, ask what it is protecting. When you feel anger, do not lash, ask what boundary was crossed. When you feel sorrow, do not drown, ask what meaning is being birthed. This is the principle of accurate interpretation. Most men misread their own minds and respond to fiction as if it were fact, but you must interpret with clarity. You must see beneath the surface. You must become fluent in the language of your own soul. Let us now speak of neutrality of mental stillness, the posture of power. The greatest men in history were not those who reacted the fastest. They were those who could pause, observe, and choose the best course while others drowned in frenzy. Stillness is not the absence of thought, it is the alignment of thought. It is the ability to see all possibilities without being paralyzed by them. It is the posture from which decisive action is born. This is the law of mental neutrality. The emotionally enslaved man is reactive. He makes decisions in haste, out of insecurity, ego, or panic. He apologizes later. He regrets often. But the man who has mastered detachment is deliberate. He observes the situation, the players, the timing. He is not easily provoked because he understands that reaction is a gift to the enemy. He knows that silence unsettles the manipulator and calmness reveals the hidden motive. He moves only when it serves the mission, and when he moves, the world adjusts. Think of the lion. He is not loud. He does not bark or beg. He observes. He waits. He chooses the moment. And when he strikes, it is with certainty and purpose. Be the lion. Be still. Be watching. Be inwardly composed. That is how you reclaim your mind from the noise of the world. Do not be fooled. Society is designed to keep you reactive. Every headline is engineered to provoke. Every platform rewards outrage. Every algorithm amplifies emotion. You are being trained every day to lose control. But you must rebel against this training. You must become the exception. Unplug from the circus. Starve the addiction to stimulus. Reclaim the stillness you were born with. In this stillness, something strange will occur. You will begin to see clearly. You will detect motives others miss. You will notice patterns that once escaped you. You will begin to think, not parrot, not regurgitate, but actually think. This is rare, and it is powerful. For the thinking man is the dangerous man. He is not moved by sentiment or seduction. He is grounded in truth, immune to trends, and guided by a compass deeper than impulse. You must then commit to a code, not a vague sense of goodness, not a borrowed morality, but a personal constitution built from clarity, conviction, and deep self-awareness. This is what I call the inner commandments. Decide what you will honor. Decide what you will never tolerate. Decide what you will die before you betray. And once written, follow that code with precision. Let it guide your decisions. Let it anchor your emotions. Let it shape your reputation. For a man without a code is a man easily compromised. But a man with a code becomes legend, even if he walks alone. And you will walk alone, at least for a time. For the path of mastery is not crowded. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will be mocked by those who fear your clarity. But you will also find something they never will yourself. And when a man finds himself, he ceases to need the world's approval. He becomes sovereign. He becomes untouchable. He becomes power. You must now prepare for the inner reckoning, for every man who chooses mastery over emotion, discipline over comfort, solitude over popularity, will sooner or later enter the desert. Not the desert of sand, but of silence, a spiritual exile, a place where the old identity withers, where applause disappears, and where even the echoes of encouragement fade into nothing. This is the dark night of the soul, and most retreat. Most run back to noise, to comfort, to distraction. But the rare few, they stay, they endure. They walk deeper into the void until something extraordinary happens. They realize they are not alone, they are not empty. They are becoming. This desert is not a punishment. It is the refining fire. It is where noise dies and clarity is born. It is where emotional addiction is severed and sovereignty begins. You do not leave this desert as the same man. You leave it as a weapon, a thinker, a strategist, a king of your own mind. All great men have walked this road. Do not be deceived by the illusions of their success. Before the stage, there was silence. Before the empire, there was exile. Before the influence, there was internal battle. And the price of lasting greatness has never changed. It is the willingness to master one's inner world, even when no one sees, no one celebrates, no one understands. The man who achieves true power does not chase influence. He becomes worthy of it. He does not seek control of others. He first dominates himself. For you cannot lead others where you have not led yourself, and you cannot build outwardly what you have not conquered inwardly. Therefore, your greatest work is invisible. It is done in quiet hours, in the moments no one applauds, in the thoughts no one hears but you. This is why emotional detachment is essential, not optional, for any man who intends to rise. For as long as you require the approval of others, your power belongs to them. As long as you need someone to agree with you, you are dependent. As long as your peace can be stolen by an insult or a disappointment, you are not free. And if you are not free, you will never reach the summit of your own potential. Detach then, not because you are cold, but because you are clear. Detach because your energy is sacred. Detach because your mission is too important to be derailed by triviality. This does not mean you do not feel. It means you feel without drowning. You engage without attachment. You act without emotional blindness. This is the mature mind, the powerful mind, the mind that moves mountains and builds legacies. There is a saying, when you own nothing, nothing can be taken from you. Apply this to your inner world. Own no opinion too tightly. Cling to no identity too desperately. Require no validation too greedily. The moment you stop needing, you start choosing. And choice is the gateway to power. Let us revisit the principle of accurate thinking, for it is the compass in the fog of emotion. To think accurately is to separate fact from feeling, evidence from ego, and cause from coincidence. Most do not think, they react, assume, and repeat. But the man of mastery interrogates every thought. He does not believe everything he feels. He does not accept every thought as truth. He holds it to the fire of scrutiny. Ask yourself always, is this true? Can it be proven? Does it serve my purpose? What assumption am I making? What evidence exists? Who benefits from this belief? The undisciplined mind seeks comfort in familiar lies. The disciplined mind finds strength in uncomfortable truths. Understand that accurate thinking is a rare virtue in a world addicted to emotion. The majority do not seek truth, they seek confirmation. They do not analyze, they align. They do not reflect, they react. But the master seeks understanding, not agreement. He desires results, not righteousness. He will question himself before blaming another. This is not weakness, this is strength beyond reckoning. And here is the truth that will either liberate or terrify you. Your results are the product of your dominant thoughts, not your hopes, not your dreams, not your intentions, your dominant thoughts. What occupies your mental stage most of the day becomes your experience. This is not opinion, it is law. And you are either a deliberate director of your inner dialogue or a passive victim of it. You must therefore become ruthless with your mental environment. Guard your inputs, audit your conversations, reject gossip, cancel complaints, starve distractions, read what strengthens, listen to what elevates, repeat what aligns. Build mental nutrition into your daily ritual, the same way you build physical health into your body. A strong mind requires deliberate fuel. Each day, you must train your mind to serve your purpose. This is the law of inner conditioning. Just as the athlete drills his body until it obeys without hesitation, you must drill your focus, your clarity, your decisions until they become instinct. This takes time. It takes patience. It takes endurance. But the reward is beyond comprehension. You become a man who no longer needs discipline because discipline has become your nature. And what of failure? What of setback, embarrassment, defeat? Let me speak to you plainly. They are illusions, phantoms that only frighten those who have never studied the path of greatness. Every master has failed. Every conqueror has fallen. Every genius has been ridiculed. But the difference lies in response. The average man sees failure as proof of inadequacy. The master sees it as data, as fuel, as refinement. You will fall. You will make errors. You will lose money, time, energy, relationships, and yet none of these things can destroy you unless you give them the meaning of defeat. But if you assign them the meaning of education, they become stepping stones to supremacy. Remember this, you do not rise in the absence of failure. You rise through it. You rise because of it. And once you learn to alchemize adversity into wisdom, you become indestructible. This is the law of creative transmutation. Every obstacle contains the seed of an advantage if you can control your response. And to control your response, you must train it before the storm arrives. Do not wait for crisis to decide how you will react. Decide now. Rehearse now. Train your mind to respond with logic, composure, and purpose, no matter what the world throws at you. You must also train your imagination, not as fantasy, but as blueprint. The mind is creative by nature. It is always imagining either doom or destiny. You must therefore seize the reins and deliberately direct your imagination toward the future you desire. Visualize not only outcomes, but behaviors. See yourself acting with strength, calm, precision, and the more vividly you rehearse, the more easily you will perform. Your subconscious does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Repeated imagery becomes expectation. Expectation becomes behavior. Behavior becomes habit. Habit becomes destiny. This is not poetry. This is power. Use it wisely. And now we arrive at the highest discipline, the discipline of identity. For all action flows from who you believe you are. You must not merely do the habits of mastery. You must become the man who lives them. Not temporarily, not for reward, but as essence, as character. Repeat after me, not out loud, but deep within your soul. I am a man of discipline. I act with clarity. I feel deeply, but choose wisely. I do not react, I respond. I do not need, I choose. I do not wait, I build. I am the master of my inner world. I am calm in chaos. I am focused in noise. I am sovereign. I am power. Now go and live those words, not once, not when it's easy, but always, especially when it's hard. That is when they matter most. There is one final threshold you must cross before the world bends to your will, the threshold of self-initiation. Understand this. The truly powerful man waits for nothing. He waits not for permission, not for applause, not for the right mood, the right time, or the right resources. He moves because he has decided. He does not ask, "Am I ready?" He declares, "It begins now." This is the principle of personal initiative, the hallmark of every man who has ever risen from obscurity to greatness. You have seen the others, the ones who hesitate, the ones who speak of what they will do when things are more stable, when their emotions are balanced, when they feel inspired, when they get support. But life does not reward delay. Life rewards decisiveness. The tide does not wait for you to be in the mood to swim. The fire does not wait for you to be ready before it burns. And so the man who waits decays. The man who moves creates. You must become the architect of momentum, create movement, no matter how small. Action breeds clarity. Clarity breeds confidence. Confidence breeds power. Power breeds destiny. Most men seek motivation before action, but that is the formula of mediocrity. The disciplined man acts his way into motivation. He does not wait to feel like it, he moves, and the feeling follows. Let me speak clearly and without comfort. If you lack motivation, it is because you have allowed weakness to speak longer than willpower. You have allowed emotion to dictate effort. You have waited for ideal conditions instead of creating them. But that ends now. From this moment forward, you are no longer a creature of mood. You are a creature of mission. Mission means you do what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. Mission means your feet move when your mind resists. Mission means your purpose is louder than your pain. This is what separates the great from the forgotten, the amateur from the master, the slave from the king. You must understand that your environment is a reflection of your inner standards. The chaos in your schedule, your habits, your relationships, your finances, these are not external accidents. They are internal permissions. What you tolerate reveals what you believe you deserve. If you want to know your level of mastery, do not look at your words, look at your routines, your rituals, your responses under pressure. There is no such thing as a neutral pattern. Every behavior is either reinforcing strength or feeding weakness. Every decision is a vote for the man you are becoming. Therefore, your daily life must become sacred. Your calendar must reflect your destiny. Your conversations must reflect your code. Your home must reflect your focus. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. And alignment is the birthplace of peace and power. You see, most men live in contradiction. They want peace, but they consume chaos. They want wealth, but they practice distraction. They want strength, but they reward their weakness. And then they wonder why life does not bend to their desire. But life is not moved by desire. It is moved by discipline. The disciplined man is consistent in both storm and sunshine. He does not flinch when the world shifts. He does not lower his standards to accommodate emotion. He remains fixed like a mountain, unmoved by wind. This is what you must become, not a reactor, but a ruler, not a follower of moods, but a governor of mind. You ask, what does it take to become this man? It takes the willingness to be different, to be misunderstood, to be alone, because the masses will not celebrate your detachment. They will call it arrogance. They will not honor your discipline. They will call it obsession. They will not respect your boundaries. They will call them walls. But do not bend. Do not explain. Do not water down your power for their comfort. You were not born to be understood. You were born to become undeniable. There will be days when the war is within, days when your own mind turns against you, days when fear whispers, "What if you fail?" When doubt hisses, "Who do you think you are?" And in those moments you must remember, that voice is not truth, that voice is habit. It is the echo of old beliefs, dying as you grow beyond them. Do not listen, speak over it, command it, replace it. Say instead, "I am not this fear. I am not this doubt. I am the voice that answers back. I am the mind that commands thought. I am the will that moves regardless. I do not beg for power, I become it." This is your final realization. Success is not something you achieve. It is something you embody. It is not out there, it is in here. It is forged in thought, proven in discipline, and revealed in your ability to stand alone without flinching. When a man has no one, no audience, no validation, no echo, he faces himself. And that moment, that raw and terrifying silence, is the birthplace of unshakable confidence. It is where illusions die. It is where dependency burns. It is where the boy disappears and the man emerges. You do not need more time. You do not need more praise. You do not need more inspiration. You need to decide. And once you decide truly, deeply, without retreat, life will change. Not because the world shifts, but because you do. And so I say to you now, in the name of every man who has ever built greatness from solitude, who has ever turned rejection into fire, who has ever risen from within himself and refused to bow, this is your hour. Not tomorrow, not when you feel better, not when you have support. Now, detach, discipline, dominate. Master your emotions, build your mental fortress, choose your inner laws, act with precision, speak with clarity, lead with stillness, and above all, remember this: when a man has no one and still chooses power over pity, discipline over comfort, thought over reaction, that is when true power is born. There is a rare kind of man who understands that time is not something he spends, it is something he commands. While the common man wastes his hours in trivial pursuits, chasing fleeting pleasures, distracted by the noise of a world that feeds on his inattention, the man of mastery becomes a steward of time, not its servant, but its sovereign. He does not merely plan his day, he architects it with ruthless precision. Every moment is either aligned with his purpose or eliminated. Every hour is measured against his mission. He does not wander through life hoping for progress. He engineers it. You must become that man. You must seize the minutes others squander. You must cut away the fat of wasted time with the blade of focus. Because here is a truth that will haunt the undisciplined and empower the wise. Your time is your soul in motion. What you do with it is who you become. Most men want to change their lives, but refuse to change how they use their days. They speak of ambition, but remain addicted to distraction. They crave transformation, but stay loyal to comfort. This is why they remain trapped, not by external force, but by the quiet treason of their own routines. But not you. You have chosen the harder road, the higher road, the road where emotional convenience dies and spiritual clarity is born. You are no longer content to be ruled by your feelings. You are no longer willing to let old habits steer your destiny. You are not waiting for someone to come save you. You are becoming the kind of man who saves himself. And that transformation is not loud. It does not happen on stages or screens. It happens when you rise before the sun and no one sees. It happens when you deny the urge to quit and no one applauds. It happens when you resist the easy choice and no one thanks you. These moments are sacred. They are the furnace where identity is forged. Do not fall into the trap of thinking success is made in grand gestures. No, it is built in the quiet, repeated triumphs over laziness, over fear, over the temptation to break your own code. The man who can keep a promise to himself when no one is watching, that man is unstoppable. And that man must learn to be misunderstood. You will not be celebrated for your discipline at first. You will not be admired for your detachment. You will be questioned, mocked, even resented. Because in your stillness, you will expose the chaos in others. In your strength, you will reflect their weakness. In your rise, they will see their stagnation. And their discomfort will make them label your power as coldness. Let them. Their opinion is not your oxygen. Their approval is not your compass. The man who fears being misunderstood is not ready for greatness. He is still a servant to perception. But you are beyond that now. You do not need to be liked. You need to be true. You do not need to be accepted. You need to be aligned. You do not need permission. You need principle. There will come a day when you realize you have outgrown your former self. His fears, his doubts, his hesitations, they no longer fit. His excuses sound foreign. His habits feel like shackles. That day will not be marked by celebration. It will be marked by departure. You will mourn the boy you used to be, not with regret, but with reverence. He carried you as far as he could, but the man you are now must walk alone. From this point forward, your strength must not waver. Your rituals must harden into armor. Your thoughts must sharpen into weapons, because the world will not become easier. The chaos will not stop. The distractions will not disappear. But you will become greater than them. You will no longer ask, how can I stay motivated? You will declare, I move regardless. You will no longer say, I hope they support me. You will proclaim, I am my own foundation. You will no longer think, I need more time. You will command, this moment is mine. That is the man who bends reality. That is the man who enters rooms in silence and shifts the energy. That is the man who speaks little, yet is feared, who smiles rarely, but when he does it, is real. That is the man who does not beg for legacy. He becomes it. This man, this final version of yourself, is not found in books or videos or advice. He is not summoned through wishing. He is excavated, revealed, carved out of the stone of distraction, laziness, and fear. And the tool is discipline. The blueprint is purpose. The engine is detachment. And the power source, your mind, governed like a kingdom, ruled by law, not emotion. You must now look in the mirror not with self-pity or self-flattery, but with clarity. Ask without excuse, am I living as that man? If the answer is no, act. Do not negotiate. Do not delay. The gap between who you are and who you could be is your responsibility. Close it. Because the world does not need more followers. It does not need more noise. It does not need more feelings shouted into the void. It needs men who are anchored, men who are clear, men who cannot be bought, seduced, or broken, men who carry order into chaos, men who do not just speak of discipline but live it as law. Let them laugh now. Let them doubt. Let them talk. Because one day soon they will fall silent. Not because you demanded it, but because your results will speak in a voice louder than all their noise combined. One day they will ask, how did you become like this? And you will answer, without pride, but with truth. I faced myself. I mastered my emotions. I became the man no one could move. I became power. And that day when you stand at the summit of your work, calm, clear, alone if necessary, but forged, proven, and complete, will not be the beginning of your greatness. It will be the quiet moment you realize it was born long ago, when you had no one, and you chose power anyway. Now rise. It is your time.